While Scripture does not say exactly how much time has passed between chapter 39 and chapter 40, it has not been a short period of time. And verse 1 lets us know that 2 more high-ranking servants are added to the prison, the cupbearer and baker of Pharaoh, the Egyptian ruler. Both men had committed an unnamed offense against the king, and it appears that both were guilty of their crimes, unlike Joseph, who had been falsely accused. Their crimes are not known, but Pharaoh was not happy with them. The prison seems to be attached to the house, but the title of captain of the guard used, not Potiphar. So it's hard to know if Potiphar was in charge when these 2 prisoners were brought in. All translations of Scripture leave out the name of Potiphar, so it's possible he could have died before this verse or moved on. Joseph's faithfulness seems to be paying off for Joseph, and the captain of the guard realizes Joseph's value and puts him in charge of the 2 prisoners, the cupbearer and baker. The verse tells us that they have been in prison for a while, so again, it's not been a short period of time. These 2 prisoners each have a dream, but they were not sure what to make of them. But when Joseph arrives the next morning, he sees they were troubled. Joseph learns about the dreams and tells both men to explain the dreams to him, and he will pray. Joseph knew that God answered prayers, still does, and that God could reveal all things to him. The cupbearer goes first. He saw a grapevine in his dream. His vision will involve pressing grapes and giving the results to Pharaoh. The cupbearer explains further, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossom shot forth. And the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes, and Pharaoh's cup was in my hand. And I took the grapes, and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup. And I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. Upon hearing of this dream, Joseph interprets the cupbearer's dream. The 3 branches are 3 days. And Joseph concluded that's how many days will pass before Pharaoh releases the cupbearer from prison and gives him his job back. Symbolically, to lift someone's head is to encourage or validate them. Therefore, the cupbearer will have his job and reputation restored. His head will be lifted up and restored. Obviously, this is great news for the cupbearer. Joseph did not interpret the dream to get anything, but he does request of the cupbearer, when he gets released from prison, to remember him, not to forget what he has done, and mention him to Pharaoh. This should not be seen as unreasonable, as Joseph does not want to be in prison. He explains he should not be there, as he was stolen out of the land of the Hebrews and falsely imprisoned. When the baker heard this, he was optimistic and hopeful, so he, too, tells Joseph his dream. His dream involved him carrying 3 cake baskets on his head, which was common during this period of time. The top basket was full of all kinds of baked goods, but birds were eating Pharaoh's baked goods from the top basket above the baker's head. Joseph begins to interpret the dreams, explaining the 3 baskets are 3 days. Like with the cupbearer, the baker's dream of baskets represented days. 3 baskets meaning 3 days. Unfortunately for the baker, his dream did not hold optimism or hope as did the cupbearer's. For example, the baker's head will be literally removed from his body, which means the baker will be decapitated or executed. What is clear is that the man's corpse will be hung and left to be desecrated by scavenger birds. Scripture tells us that 3 days later, it was the king's birthday, so there was a lot of celebration. And like Joseph prophesied, the cupbearer was released, and the baker's head was held up for all to see. The cupbearer was forgiven, and he gave the Pharaoh his cup in his hand, but the baker was hung by his head. Although we are not told what their offenses were, It's fair to assume that the cupbearer's offense was not as dire as the baker's. While both of the men were pardoned, one was freed and the other received death. While Joseph had interpreted the cupbearer's dream, the man forgot about Joseph and did not mention his name to the Pharaoh. An important lesson that each of us can learn from Joseph is that all men that God uses greatly, He first prepares greatly. We must be willing to go through the hardships as challenges a part of the breakthrough. In fact, there can be no breakthrough without the hardships. Few are willing to endure the greatness of God's preparation. But God was in both the steps and stops of Joseph's life.